Hi everyone, it's Gina from Gina C Creates, and today I'm going to show you how to personalize your reusable Starbucks cup using my 80s pattern SVG wrap. Here's a list of supplies you'll need, and I'm going to show you my vinyl that I'm using. I chose to use glossy. I have glossy black, I have a bubblegum pink, I have these two pastel colors, a light yellow and a lavender, and then I have like a light teal. And then you're going to need some transfer tape. I like using the Contact brand. You can find it at Walmart or Dollar Tree, Target, pretty much anywhere. And of course, your Starbucks cup. So my 80s pattern cup wrap is available in my Etsy shop. You're going to go ahead and download that. And once you do, you're going to extract all your files and they will save to a new folder. You can open the folder to view your files, but to upload them, you're going to have to open Design Space first, find the folder, and select the SVG. It might say HTML doc if you're on a Windows PC, but you can still upload that file and it'll work just the same, giving you all the layers. So go ahead and import it into your canvas. You can zoom out so you can see. Look at the size on this one. It's really big, and I don't know what's wrong with Design Space lately. It's not uploading the SVGs the correct size, so we're going to go ahead and resize this to 10.4771, and you're going to hit enter on the width, and that will make it the correct size that I designed it. And then you're going to click ungroup, and now you can select each color on its own layer. It's individual layers within its own group of the same color. So you're going to want to weld all these layers together. So you're just going to select each color group and hit weld. You can also hit attach, but that keeps them on single layers, and that's kind of hard for Design Space to read so many layers because this is kind of an intricate design. So I just choose to weld it because it will make it into one layer. So now Design Space only has to deal with 5 different layers versus every single layer. So go ahead and click Make It, and you can see it sorts into each mat on its own color, and it is spaced out exactly how you want it to cut and how it's going to go onto the cup. So go ahead and click continue, and you're going to have it on Vinyl Plus, and you're going to be using your fine point blade. Okay, and just make sure your machine is turned on and connected to your computer. Then you are going to lay the first color down on the mat and load it into your Cricut machine. This black layer is the bottom layer, and it took the longest to cut. I want to say about 3 minutes or so. And I'm just going to cut out the design to get rid of the excess vinyl, and I'm going to trim it down to the design. And then next you're just going to weed off the excess vinyl. So you're just going to pull a corner and pull slowly, and try your best not to pull up the design. You can use your other hand to hold down any pieces that come up, and you just push them back down. And for the most part, this is really easy to weed. There's not a lot of weeding involved. We just have a few pieces right here on the registration mark and a few in the circles, squares, and triangles. And the only problem I did have with these are the tiny dots, but I was able to get them off of my vinyl and put them in place. Next, you're going to finish cutting your colored vinyl, and I like to keep them on order because the black goes on the bottom. On top of that would be yellow, then pink, lavender, and then teal being your top layer. So I'm just going to show you how easy these are to weed. A lot of the vinyl is coming off, so you just have to weed off a few pieces and the registration circle in the middle. So if you're not used to weeding, you can use your weeding tool that I have right there on my table that I'm not using because I find it sometimes faster to just use my nails. So now just make sure you go ahead and weed off every colored layer that you have, and make sure to keep them in order so you don't forget which order it goes in. Maybe you can look on your computer for reference, and also make sure you have them the right side up so you know not to put them upside down when you are doing the application. Or you can just have this video open and you can follow along on my steps. But like any crafting project, of course, you're going to do a mistake or forget a step. And I'm going to show you exactly what I did to mess up this tumbler, but I ended up saving it in the end. So make sure you watch the whole video to see my mistake. Okay, now that we have every color weeded, we are going to assemble our decal wrap before we apply it to the cup, because I think this is a crucial step when you are using a wrap. You are not going to want to put it onto the cup first. You need to assemble it as a decal first and then place it onto your cup. So what I am doing is starting with the very top layer, which is the teal, and I'm using my transfer tape to cover the whole design. And then you are going to use your Cricut scraper to make sure you get any air bubbles out and make sure the vinyl is sticking to your transfer tape. Go ahead and flip your design over and pull off the paper backing. I like to pull it at 180 degrees and it seems to come off really good this way. So now that I have the first layer on my transfer tape, I'm going to apply the second layer, and I'm using tape on the paper of the second layer to hold it down flat so I can easily line up the registration marks to apply it to the transfer tape. And you might want to make sure not to press your whole design onto your table because your vinyl will stick to it. Or you can lay down some parchment paper or wax paper where it won't stick to that. And we're doing the same with the third layer, lining up your registration marks as close as you can, and then pulling off the paper backing and making sure you're not lifting any of your design. These registration marks in the center really help with this design to get every piece into the correct spot. So next I'm supposed to do the yellow layer, which is the second to the bottom layer, but I totally had a brain fart and I skipped the yellow layer. So now I am laying all the layers on top of the bottom black layer. And you're just going to want to center it as best as you can so everything will line up properly. If you see, you could look at the triangles. I was a little too much down on my right side, but I didn't lay it all the way down and I was able to adjust it and fix it. So please don't make my mistake and align it as best as you can. At this point, I still haven't realized that I didn't add the yellow layer. So I'm going to take this and apply it to my cup. So you just flip it over and take off the paper backing and make sure you set that aside to save because you're going to need half of it. Now you can take off your registration marks once you have it all assembled. And we're going to cut off the paper backing in half and place it halfway over your decal to protect it from the cup. Now I'm going to line up my decal to my cup with the pink edge sitting on the lip of the bottom cup. And then I'm going to center in the middle and I'm going to wrap one side down first. And you want to make sure you pressed from the center going outwards so you don't have any air bubbles or you won't have a piece of decal sticking down in the wrong spot. So once you got that side pushed down, you're going to start with the next side, starting from the center, pushing outward, making sure that it lays down flat. And then you go ahead and pull back your vinyl once you have it all rubbed down, and you make sure to go slowly and none of the decal lift, and then you could go over again with your hand to smooth any imperfections. And wait, I thought I was done, but I'm not. Let's go back and add the yellow layer that I forgot. I thought about doing each element by itself, but I wanted to use the registration mark, so I'm going to lay a big piece of transfer tape down over my decal like I would before, and then I'm just going to trim off all the excess so it'll be easier for me when I wrap it on my cup. So go ahead and take off the paper backing again and make sure you have your decal the right side up and not upside down. And I'm just going to use my circle registration mark over my logo, and just make sure you push down from the center going outwards, and everything pretty much lined up the way it was supposed to. I just moved over I think 2 elements so they weren't touching the other ones, but it's a lot easier if you don't forget a layer and you layer them all together flat. And this way, when you put it on a round surface, it won't overlap. So I still think this cup came out pretty awesome, even though I messed up. But good thing it was an easy fix. And I hope you get to try out my 80s pattern Starbucks wrap SVG. And thanks for watching this tutorial, and don't forget to subscribe.